Do I need to wear a mask for this one? Really? Are you sure? Oh, okay. Hey, this time I'd like to talk about masking. But just hang on. Sorry, that's not actually the type of masking I mean. Although sometimes it might be easier to wear a literal mask because then at least people might realise that I'm having to disguise the real me. That's the me that might not be the entirely acceptable social norm. So masking. Masking is a strategy, and it's often an unconscious one, where an autistic person suppresses, hides, covers up their natural traits, those aspects of themselves that mark them out as being them. And instead, we mimic neurotypical behaviours in order to fit in with the norm. The norm. In other words, we pretend to be something we're not. What's that I hear you say? Doesn't everyone do that? Well, yeah, to a certain extent. We all project the image we want people to see. But let me remind you of what I said last time. I get it. There are lots of people who feel a similar way. It's not unusual to feel nervous in new situations. It's not even strange to want to avoid family. Yeah. What's different, and frequently not recognised by the people who dismiss these feelings as normal, is the effect the way we feel has on those of us who are autistic. Just because there's some crossover of actions, of feelings, whatever, it doesn't necessarily mean that what an autistic person is doing or how they're feeling is perfectly comparable to a neurotypical person's experience. So take me, again, as an example, and this is my autistic experience we're talking about, so who else are we going to take as an example? I mask for a huge percentage of my day. I don't choose to, and actually didn't even realise I was doing it until I was, in my late 30s, but it happens regardless. It's an entirely unconscious thing. It just happens. I can now recognise it's happening. I can actually chart its progress throughout the day. And although I can't really stop it, I know that it goes a little something like this. So I wake up in the morning, obviously, and my natural state is one of anxiety. It's the archetypal fight or flight response, but it's magnified by a million. My stomach is terrorised by rampant pterodactyls, and my brain, well, that's a mess of confused thoughts and random song lyrics. More about that another time. I'm usually exhausted from a night of disturbed sleep. I am, for want of a better word, a wreck. My wife, unfortunately for her, has to put up with that wreck until I go to work. Sometimes I'm grumpy, sometimes I don't want to talk at all, but for most of that time I'm unmasked. I'm me. Well, I think it's me. I can't really be sure anymore. And then I get to work, and that is when the first mask goes on. So that's a mask for my colleagues. It's professional. It's polite. It's not happy and jolly and positive and all those other things, but it covers the real me enough to get by. It can, for example, help a little with small talk, but it doesn't really help to initiate that kind of conversation. It only maintains it. Then there's the second mask. Now, this one I'm more aware of. It's my teaching mask. I play the role of a fun, exciting teacher who takes an interest in the lives of my pupils and can impart some degree of knowledge. it can be an exhilarating mask. It really can. And I realise that lots of other teachers do it too. But when it's on top of mask number one, it's really exhausting. As the day progresses, cracks in both masks can begin to appear. I shut my classroom door at lunchtime. There's no socialising in the staff room for me. The thought of that terrifies me. And alone in my room, I attempt to repair some of the damage done to my mask. I decompress, so to speak, and regulate. I need to focus. I need to maintain my normal appearance and demeanour, because somewhere in the recesses of my muddled head, I believe that no one really wants to see the socially inept, anxiety-wreaked Doctor Who obsessive that I really am. Do they? That's certainly what years of being laughed at as a child have told me anyway. By the end of the day, both masks are on the verge of collapse, and it's all I can do to hold on to the last vestiges of pretense until I get home. At that point, the masks, I think, come off. Mostly anyway. There are still some aspects that remain that I'm probably not even aware of. I'm exhausted, physically, mentally and emotionally, and more often than not, poor old Mrs. Whole Spectrum has to deal with the fallout. Days are long, difficult and tiring. And why? I guess because I feel the pressure's on to fit in, to conform. It's great, isn't it? Not so that I feel not so that I feel all right. God, no. I never feel comfortable in a mask. No. I worked out some time ago that it's actually about making sure other people feel comfortable around me. So again, I hear you ask, or at least I would if you were watching, so what? Lots of people do the same. But do they mask all day, every day, in every situation they find themselves in? Do they find themselves mimicking or mirroring the gestures and expressions of other people? Do they force themselves, often in a very physically painful way, to maintain eye contact when conversing? And on the subject of conversing, have they rehearsed those conversations and any variation of those conversations over and over again prior to their happening? Part of the reason for my disturbed sleep is that that's what's going on. And do they do that to their own detriment? Because masking isn't just exhausting. You know, it leads to social fatigue. My social battery's quite limited anyway, but this fatigue leads to not wanting... No, it's not wanting, it's not being able to be sociable at all because of the toll it's taken. It can lead to autistic burnout. Masking is associated with depression and a higher risk of suicide. And it can also cause a loss of one's identity. And that's how I'd like to end, really. By saying that, yes, everyone masks in certain situations. I get that. I really do get that. But purely from my own experience, autistic people can mask to such an extent that we can forget who we are. There are certainly times when I wonder if I know who I am, or wonder if I'm just a collection of masks that I wear for different occasions. Do I even know the real me? Does anyone know who I really am? Sometimes, if I'm honest, I'm not entirely sure. Thanks for watching. Now, where's that Cyberman mask? I think I'd like to try that next.